Hello everyone, this is the 5th Epical Revelation Fellowship. I'm Reverend Dr. Roger Paul, and tonight we're going to continue our study of paper 46, and we're on section 4, and that starts on page 522.6 or 4642. And let's say a little prayer and we'll get started. Father, thank you for such a beautiful day today, and Rachel, watch over this group tonight as we study this wonderful revelation. And open our hearts and minds that we might absorb some of this and share it with others. We thank you and we give you the praise in your Son, Michael, Jesus of Nazareth. Amen. I've got wild cats going here tonight, so you'll just ignore the noise. Okay, residential and administrative areas. Tim, would you like to start reading for us tonight?
Considerable portions of Jerusalem are assigned as residential areas, while other portions of the system capital are given over to the necessary administrative functions involving the supervision of the affairs of 619 inhabited spheres, 56 transitional cultural worlds, and the system capital itself. On Jerusalem and in Nebadon, these arrangements are designed as follows. 1. The circles, the non-native residential areas. 2. The squares, the system executive administrative areas. 3. The rectangles, the rendezvous of the lower native life. 4. The triangles, the local or Jerusalem administrative areas.
Okay, there's a couple things on the very first paragraph of this, and that is this. They talk about the 619 inhabited spheres. That's how many planets in our local system that's been inhabited so far, right, out of 1,000. And then the 56 transitional or cultural worlds are Jerusalem, the 7 satellites that surround it, and then the sub-satellites that surround that, and that number comes to 56 of those, right? And then it goes on to tell us on Jerusalem and Nebadon, the breakdown of this circles, squares, rectangles, and triangles, as well as the makeup of all the other systems in our local constellation are exactly like this, not only in the constellation, but in the whole local universe of Nebadon. This is the standard format. So every single local system will have what? A planet like Jerusalem and 56 cultural worlds that surround it, right? So every single local system will eventually have 1,000 inhabited worlds. And we're going to go through each one of these in this paper tonight. So
Hey Roger, I had a question.
Yeah.
Can you help me understand the list 1 through 4? I mean, are these areas look like circles, squares, and rectangulars, and triangles, or?
Yeah, they're called circles, squares, and triangles because the way they have arranged the dwelling areas and the executive administrative buildings and things like that are in circles, squares, rectangles, and triangles. Okay, so if you had a group of residencies, the circles would be all. You're going to see a picture of this really tonight, where they're all surrounding in circles all the way up, and the squares, everything's arranged in a square, okay, different squares, and the triangles, everything is arranged in triangular areas. So this is really a way to designate the areas where these inhabitants are, really, more than anything, and the administrative buildings.
And that list of 1 through 4 is included always in the system, correct?
It's included always in a system. On every single system throughout Nebadon is set up the exact same way. Right.
And what do they mean by number 3, the rectangles? It says the lower native life?
That's what they're talking about there, Tim, is the native inhabitants of Jerusalem itself. You know, there's a whole group of native beings that live on Jerusalem that don't leave Jerusalem. They're not on the ascension plan.
That's correct. I was thinking more like the natives, like a tribe or something like that, but it's not like that.
No, it's more,
the people.
It's the people and the Smaranja and things like that that service everyone else. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Yes. This arrangement of the system activities into circles, squares, rectangles, and triangles is common to all the system capitals of Nebagon. In another universe, an entirely different arrangement might prevail. These are matters determined by the diverse plans of the Creator Son.
So it's really up to the Creator Son, however he wants to arrange things, and this is what Michael has chosen for us, right? All right. Sweetie.
Our narrative of these residential and administrative areas takes no account of the vast and beautiful estates of the material sons of God, the permanent citizens of Jerusalem. Neither do we mention numerous other fascinating orders of spirit and near-spirit creatures. For example, Jerusalem enjoys the efficient services of the Sparanja of design for system function. These beings are devoted to spiritual ministry in behalf of the supermaterial residents and visitors. They are a wonderful group of intelligent and beautiful beings who are the transition servants of the higher Morancha creatures and of the Morancha helpers who labor for the upkeep and embellishment of all Morancha creations. They are on Jerusalem when the Midway creatures are on Urantia.
What Midway?
They are on Jerusalem what the Midway creatures are on Urantia. Midway helpers functioning between the material and the spiritual.
Okay, so they take the place of the Midway creatures on this particular planet. But notice here they talk about this does not take into the account of the narrative of the material sons and daughters, because they deal entirely differently on that in another place. So let's just keep going. The system capitals are unique in that they're the only worlds which exhibit a well-nigh perfectly all three phases of universe existence: the material, the Morancha, and the spiritual. Whether you are a material Morancha or spirit personality, you will feel at home on Jerusalem. So also do the combined beings such as the Midway creatures and the material sons. Now why did they set them aside? It's because the material sons are actually physical beings just like we are, right, on a higher scale. And the Midway creatures are in between the physical and angels, right, or celestials, right? So they're in between there, and they eventually become just like us as humans, okay? All right. Tim, would you take the next one?
Jerusalem has great buildings of both material and Morancha types, while the embellishment of the purely spiritual zones is a no less exquisite and replete. If I only had words to tell you of the Morancha counterparts of the marvelous physical equipment of Jerusalem, if I could only go on to portray the sublime grandeur and exquisite perfection of the spiritual appointments of this headquarters world, your most imaginative concepts of perfection of beauty and repleteness of appointment would hardly approach these grandeurs. And Jerusalem is but the first step on the way to the supernal perfection of paradise beauty.
Okay, so what they're telling us here is there's Morancha type, there's physical type beings for the inhabitants of the world. There's Morancha type buildings for the Morancha type beings. And then there's also spiritual dwelling places for the spiritual dwelling beings. And even though some orders will not be able to see the buildings of the other, they are still there, right? So they'll be on a different, I guess you'd say, frequency of vibration. But all three types of matter or buildings are on Jerusalem itself, okay, for all three types of beings to live in and locate in, okay? Hi, Rodney. Nice to see you.
Hi, Rodney.
Yeah, hey guys,
Hey, Rodney.
good to be back.
It's nice to have you here tonight with us.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. It's good to be here.
We're on
See
4649.
it? I got it.
Okay. Millie, would you take the next one, please?
Yes, the Jerusalem circles. The residential reservations assigned to the major groups of universe life are designated the Jerusalem circles. Those circles groups which find mention in these narratives are the following. 1. The circles of the sons of God. 2. The circles of the angels and higher spirits. 3. The circles of the universe aids, including the creature trinitized sons, not assigned to the Trinity teacher sons. 4. The circles of the master physical controllers. 5. The circles of the assigned ascending mortals, including the midway creatures. 6. The circles of the courtesy colonies. And 7. The circles of the core of the finality.
Okay, so these are all the dwelling places of all the different types of beings. And this is a picture of all of them, basically. And we're going to go through each one, and you can see the picture a little bit bigger. But what I want to mention is you notice the circles all go down in the center, all of them. You see that? So the circles are basically go higher and higher and higher and higher. And each one of these levels have beings dwelling on them and working on them. Okay? And a couple I want to mention here is the not only ascending mortals, we live in one of these circles with midway creatures. There's also the circles of the courtesy colonies. You all remember what the courtesy colonies were? Those are the beings that, like the celestial artisans and things like that, they come to the planet as a courtesy to us to beautify it, right? So they may dwell temporarily in a courtesy colony. Also the core of finality, so those who have made it all the way to paradise and came all the way back also have a circle to dwell on. Now, would we be able to see these finalators? No, because they're on such a higher level. But they do have a dwelling place in the circles in which they live in. Alright? Okay. I'm getting feedback again.
Feedback.
Millie, I'm getting feedback from you again.
Is that better?
Yeah, let me say something. Yeah, that's much better. Okay. Alright, let's keep going. Alright, Millie, would you take the next one?
I just read
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry.
1 through 7.
Yeah, Rodney, would you take the next one?
I will. Okay, let's see. Each of these presidential groupings consists of 7 concentric and successfully elevated circles. They are all constructed along the same lines, but are of different sizes and are fashioned of differing materials. They are all surrounded by far-reaching enclosures, which mount up to form extensive promenades entirely encompassing every group of 7 concentric circles.
So they have a promenade. Let's go back here one slide. They each have a promenade around them, see? And what these promenades allows visitors and people like us to do is look down into the circles and see the different activities that's going on each level.
Roger, it's a Colosseum.
It's a coliseum. That's right. That's right. So we can observe everything that goes on in each one of these. So that's kind of neat.
Oh, I wish they would tell us the dimensions. It must be enormous.
It must be humongous. It really.
Totally enormous.
Yeah. All right.
They do tell us in here the size of some things.
Some things.
We'll get to it.
Yeah.
We're just getting ready to get to the pearly gates.
Yeah. Diane.
1. Circles of the sons of God. Though the sons of God possess a social planet of their own, one of the transitional culture worlds, they also occupy these extensive domains on Jerusalem. On their transitional culture world, the ascending mortals freely mingle with all orders of divine sonship. There you will personally know and love these sons, but their social life is largely confined to this special world and its satellites. In the Jerusalem circles, however, these various groups of sonship may be observed at work, and since Moranship vision is of enormous range, You can walk about on the sun's promenades and overlook the intriguing activities of their numerous orders.
Because of your vision of Morancha vision, you'll actually be able to observe these things going on and actually be able to see everything that's going on. Not only because it's far away, but because it's of a different order, right? So the sons, all orders of the sons of God, we'll be able to talk to and interact with and things like that. So talk
So
about
hey
filling
Roger, when you
part.
say sons of God, you're not talking about the creator sons, you're talking about everybody from every other planet?
Well, not only that, Tim, but all the sons of God, like the Lenanadek sons, the Verandadek sons, the life carriers, all of the orders of sonship that Michael has created, including the material sons and daughters.
Melchizedek.
The Melchizedeks, yeah, all of the sons of God. Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
yeah. And this is a picture of the dwelling place of the sons of God. Okay? And what's interesting about this is this. It says the circle reservations of the sons occupy an enormous area until 1900 years ago. There existed a great open space as its center, right here. This central region is now occupied by the Michael Memorial, completed some 500 years ago. That's not long ago, is it? 495 years ago, when this temple was dedicated to Michael, he was present in person, and all Jerusalem heard the touching story of the master son's bestowal on Urantia, the least of Satania. Isn't that interesting? So that's the Michael Memorial, and that was started 1900 years ago and finished 500 years. Around 500 years.
It took 1,400 Earth years to build it.
Well, maybe Jerusalem years to build, Rodney. So that's a long time, right? And you'll see here it shows on each level what sons on each level. Like the very top are the ascending sons. Underneath that is the life carriers, and then the Lananandeks, the Verandadeks, the Melchizedeks, the Trinity teacher sons, and the magisterial sons. Right? So we remember that these are paradise sons, right? All the rest of them are all what? Local universe sons. Okay? So we have two groups of the paradise sons. What's missing here? What's the third group? The creator sons, right? And they would not have a dwelling place because normally a creator son would not come to stay in a local universe of another creator son, right? They're busy with their own universe. Isn't that interesting?
That is interesting. Roger,
Yeah.
the last meeting we had last Wednesday, we read about the difference between Jerusalem, or standard time,
Yeah.
and Earth time. And it gave us some, let's see, three days of Earth time is equal to a day there.
Right.
And I figured all this out. After the meeting, I sat down and crunched some figures.
Uh-huh.
Came up with,
Well, you know I've already done that on our website, right?
did you? I don't know.
Yeah, there's a
Maybe I'm wrong here. I came up with a Satania year being 295 and a half days of Urantia time,
uh-huh.
which means that equals about 10 months, a little over 10 months.
Of our time.
Our time
Right,
equals 1 year of their time.
right.
Yeah, so their year is actually less than ours.
Okay, now that's not exactly true, Rodney, because I made the same mistake when I calculated it.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, because I forgot to take into account that 3 days. See, it's the conversion from the days to the years, because their year is different than our days. I mean,
year is,
the days are different than our years. So really, a year to them, I forget what the calculation was.
well, I understood it to be
3 days of our time. So if you really calculated it out, it would almost be 3 times our year should be, their year should be 3 times what ours is, but it doesn't work that way, it works the other way. So it's real confusing any way you can convert it. But I did the same exact thing you did, and I swear I thought it was right, but somebody pointed that out to me. So don't hang your hat on that, it may be wrong.
Be doing, okay.
Okay, but look up under on our website. I think it's on the Atlanta New Hampshire Study Group on the left-hand side near the time. It's either under, I think it's under notes. There's a thing. It's times and dates or something like that. I've got a chart of things like that, so you might want to look at that too. That was from a
Without
previous.
going into detail, roughly I thought it was 3 days of Earth time is 1 day there, then they have 100 days in a year.
Yeah.
So it's really like 100 times 3.
3, right? Yeah, that's what you would. Yeah, that's what I thought too. Yeah.
Is their day the same length as our day?
No, it's not.
See, their day is longer, so their month is longer.
Yeah,
So
it is.
10 of their months is longer than 10 of our months.
Yeah, when you figure out to calculate the time issue, it's where the problem comes in, because their days are longer, and it ends up their year is longer than ours. When you calculate it out, it should be shorter. It's like Rodney said, it should be about 10 months, but it's not. So I'll let y'all.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Yeah, y'all figure that out. So I played with it all day for 2 days once when we studied this sort of thing once before and made that chart. So anyway, it's actually in one of the slides in one of the videos we did. And gosh, it was 3 years ago. I know by now. So anyway, it's out there.
All right, thank you.
Let's keep going. Who's up?
You are.
Oh, okay. These 7 circles of the suns are concentric and successively elevated, so that each of the outer larger circles overlooks the inner and smaller ones, each being surrounded by a public promenade wall. These walls are constructed of crystal gems of gleaming brightness, and are so elevated as to overlook all of their respective residential circles. Many gates from 50 to 150,000, which permeate each of these walls, consist of a single pearly crystal. You know the pearly gates that Millie just mentioned? This is it. It's also the pearly gates that John the Revelator, or John Zebedee, revealed in the book of Revelation. This is what they're talking about, the pearly gates. And there's other gates, some of them up to 50,000 of them in one circle. So those circles are pretty big, you know, are made of other rare gems and crystals. Isn't that interesting?
So the entire concentric circle is made out of the pearl,
Yeah. No, the gates themselves is, Tim.
the gates. Okay, that open and close.
Yeah, that open and close are made of a single pearl. In other words, the whole gate is made up of one humongous pearly material.
Okay, thank you.
Crystal.
Okay, and this is the 7 circles of the sun again, looking from the top down. And then notice in the center is the Michael Memorial, and it tells each one of the types of suns as you look down. So the ascending suns are at the very top, the life carriers, then the Lenonidex, the Verandadex, Melchizedeks, the Trinity teacher suns, and the magisterial suns. And notice all the local universe created sons of God are in order of their creation. Because we know that the Melchizedeks were created first, and then the Verandadex, and then the Lenonidex, then the life carriers, and of course the ascending suns. Alright. Okay, and this is another view of the circles of the sons of God. This is a cross view, and it's interesting on this slide because we got down here the Trinity teacher sons. It shows that they're the Daniels, and the magisterial sons are the Avonals, which are from paradise, right? Isn't that interesting? Kind of gives you a different perspective when you can see
Yeah,
a
it
picture.
does.
Okay, Tim, would you take the next one?
The first circle of the domain of the sons is occupied by the magisterial sons and their personal staffs. Here center all of the plans and immediate activities of the bestowal and adjudicational services of these judicial sons.
Juridical
It is-
sons. Juridical sons.
Juridical sons. It is also through this center that the avenals of the system maintain contact with the universe.
Okay, so we remember that the magisterial sons are in charge of what? Adjudication of the planet, right? So it's the magisterial sons that come when they adjudicate the planet in a mass adjudication, like over 1,000 years or 2,000 years. Okay, so the planet, when the planet is ready to be adjudicated or turned over to the next epoch, you know, the fifth epochal revelation, well, when we get ready to have the sixth epochal revelation, they'll have an adjudication, and it will be a magisterial son that will come and call the adjudication for the next epoch, right? See how it all fits together? You know? So we're studying the fifth epochal revelation in our fellowship, right? That's because there's been 5 other epochs before this one coming up, right?
Hey Roger, speaking of the fifth epochal revelation, when they say to expand cosmic consciousness, can you tell me what the word cosmic means and really what consciousness is? Is it the awareness? And then what's the word cosmic mean?
Yeah, the cosmic consciousness, Tim, is the awareness of the whole plan of the Father, and that includes all 7 super universes and the 4 outer space level. And the cosmic consciousness is an awareness of where we fit in the cosmos. Okay? So the cosmic consciousness is our awareness that we're part of a very huge, unimaginable universe. And we're a citizen of that universe. Now, where does that come in? When we fuse with our thought adjusters, usually in about the 5th, for us on the 5th mansion world, when we fuse, we become real citizens of the cosmos. And what happens with that fusion is this: we become cosmic conscious of our citizenship. And that's why we're allowed to fuse with the adjuster. We become one with the adjuster. So we become what they quote as real sons of God. And at that point, to certify that we have become real sons of God and part of the cosmos, they give us a new name. Okay, and that's what that name thing's all about. So you become a new being, you become a part of the cosmos, you become a real son of God. Just like this chart, right? A real son of God. Till that point, we are just faith sons of God. We have faith that we will eventually fuse with our adjusters, and we will permanently become sons of God.
Hey Roger, speaking of father fused,
Yeah.
I asked you a question. It was earlier when I asked you, do angels or seraphim have thought adjusters? But yet on page 348, section 4, adapted seraphim, it says many of these guardian angels, after becoming farther fused, join their subjects and taking the finality oath. Can you describe to me what adopted seraphim is? Is it like a human that becomes a seraphim, or?
No, it's seraphim that have reached such an understanding and done such a great job that the creative mother spirit or the infinite spirit, either one, chooses them to go on the human, quote, spirit, angel ascension plan, both. Okay, so they're given a father fragment. Normally they're given a fragment of the infinite spirit. But when they're given a father fragment, they go to a different path, and that's what that's about.
Okay, but I thought angels didn't have thought adjusters.
They don't. Normally angels don't. They will get a thought adjuster if they're chosen to go on that path. See, they can't go on the path without the thought adjuster.
You mean to participate in the ascending career like we are?
That's right. That's right. Our ascending career, not the angel ascending career, but our ascending career.
Correct.
You follow me?
Yes.
It's a different pathway, so you need a thought adjuster.
The ascension career.
Right, the ascension career. That's right. Now, I do want to mention one thing. I don't want to leave this concept of real sons of God without this thought. The adjuster, we are faith sons of God until we fuse with the adjuster, but there's a big but here. At the moment, we choose to survive, that we choose to accept God as our Father. As far as the thought adjuster is concerned, it's a reality. Okay? So even though we're only called faith sons of God to our personal thought adjuster, He's already expecting us to fuse with Him. It's a reality to Him. It's not until it actually happens do you get that new name, though. Okay? So, when your child or daughter or adult makes a decision that they want to survive and they want to do the will of God, then as far as the thought adjusters is concerned, that is a future cosmic citizen, right? Just wanted to clear that up so you don't think, well, we're not really sons of God until we get there. All right. Did we already read that? Is that the one that's up there? Yeah. Okay. Second circle. Who's up? Tim, I think. Tim, I think you're up.
Can
Okay,
I just read?
yes, I'll read this one.
Oh, okay. Millie, you must be up.
The second circle is occupied by the Trinity teacher sons. In this sacred domain, the Daniels and their associates carry forward the training of the newly arrived primary teacher sons. And in all of this work, they are ably assisted by a division of certain coordinates of the brilliant evening stars. The creature trinitized sons occupy a sector of the Daniel circle. The Trinity teacher sons come the nearest to being the personal representatives of the universe Father in a local system. They are at least Trinity origin beings. This second circle is a domain of extraordinary interest to all the peoples of Jerusalem.
Because they're actually part of that, they become part of that Trinity as Trinity teacher sons, right? They expand their consciousness to the Paradise Trinity. So the wheel of paradise really is revealed in these sons. Okay? And that's the second circle.
But I like the way they say it. It's the nearest to being the personal representative of the universal Father.
That's right. Outside what? Your thought adjuster, right? Your thought
Yes.
adjuster is the personal representative. Okay. Let's see, Rodney.
Well, the third circle is devoted to the Melchizedeks. Here the system chiefs reside and supervise the almost endless activities of these versatile sons. From the first of the mansion worlds on through all the Jerusalem career of ascending mortals, the Melchizedeks are foster fathers and ever-present advisors. It would not be amiss to say that they are the dominant influence on Jerusalem aside from the ever-present activities of the material sons and daughters.
So can you imagine the influence the Melchizedeks have on you all the way through this process? And think of the benefit we have by having the Melchizedek come down and try to teach Abraham basic concepts. You know? I mean, really, to me, that's totally amazing. All right. The fourth circle.
The fourth circle is the home of the Ronodeks and all other orders of the visiting and observer sons, who are not otherwise provided for. The Most High Constellation Fathers take up their abode in this circle when on visits of inspection to the local system. Perfecters of wisdom, divine counselors, and universal censors all reside in this circle when on duty in the system.
So this is the dwelling place of the Most Highs when they're on Jerusalem, right? All right. The fifth circle is the abode of the Lanondex, the sun order of the system sovereigns, and the planetary princes. These three groups mingles as one when at home on this domain. The system reserves are held in this circle, while the system sovereign has a temple situated at the center of the governing group of structures on Administration Hill. So, Lanaforge, our current system sovereign would be there, right? Okay. This kind of opens up the geography of where everything is and why, right? Tim, would you take the next one?
The sixth circle is the tearing place of the system life carriers. All orders of these sons are here assembled, and from here they go forth on their world assignments.
All right, notice here is where the life carriers are actually assembled. And remember, the life carriers are assembled in liaison with what? One of the Ancients of Days. Remember this? That they are actually assembled on this place. So, does the Ancient of Day come here to do this? Or do they do it through reflectivity? I'm not sure. You know? Interesting question.
So, Roger,
Yeah.
going back to the fifth circle, this is for the systems.
The system sovereigns and the planetary
How many
princes.
systems are there in Satania?
Right.
How many?
Oh, the system sovereigns?
How many systems?
Oh, there's a 1,000.
1,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
You would ask me that. It may be 10,000, Rodney. Let me look real quick here. Ah.
I'm just curious.
Local systems. 100. There's 100 systems. I'm sorry, and one constellation. Right. So
Okay.
there's 10,000. No. There's 1,000 in.
Hey, Roger, in paper
Yeah.
15, section 2,
It breaks that down. That's
you
right.
can read all about it. Local
Yeah, that's
systems,
what
I
I'm
can't pronounce it.
Yeah, that's the chart I'm reading it from. It all breaks all of
I
that
think
down.
it's 700 trillion or billion, I'm not sure.
Okay, one constellation's 100 systems, and
That's in a super universe.
no, that's the local universe.
That's how many local systems there are in
One
Oh.
constellation, and then there's 100 constellations, and
there's a billion in one super
That's
universe.
here. There's 1 billion systems in Satania.
Yes. There's
Yeah.
a billion systems in a universe. 7 super universes have 7 billion, so one super universe is going to have 1 billion.
System.
1 billion systems in a universe.
Oh. Yeah, in a universe.
In a
okay,
universe.
no, y'all are wrong. No, you're not.
So our universe has a billion systems.
That's right.
It says one system embraces approximately 1,000 worlds.
That's right. And then in a constellation, see this it's hard because some of these are worlds and some of these are systems. So
Page 167, you can read all about
yeah,
it.
167 it actually breaks it down. It's not a billion systems though. I think it's like constellation.
On page 15,
Yeah,
on
breaks it
paper
down to
15,
y'all.
7 super universes have 7 billion, so one super universe,
Yeah.
one universe would have 7
They're talking about
1
planets.
billion.
They're talking about planets there though, Millie, not systems.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Local systems, 7 billion. And since there are 7 super universes, each one must have 1 billion.
Yeah, but there's 100 local universes, so it's 1/100th of that.
Okay.
Okay.
Do some math. I was just interested because
Yeah.
I wondered how many.
Y'all just bookmark that page. When you have a question, go back and look at it, because that's
Yeah.
the best thing. We keep
I
going
just
through
wondered
this.
how many planetary princes were involved in the fifth circle.
Not that many, because well, you'd have the 619 planetary princes in our local system. That's basically it. But there's probably 1,000 there, Rodney, because we have a projection of 1,000 universes, right?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
In a system.
In a system, right. In our local system, right.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Makes sense.
Okay. Where were we? Back at the 5th circle? Okay, we should be at the 7th circle. Okay. I think you're up, Roger.
I am,
Either
Yes.
Billy or you. I'm totally confused again.
I think Rodney's up, yeah.
Yeah.
okay, the 7th, right?
Yeah, the 7th circle.
Okay, the 7th circle is the rendezvous of the ascending suns. Those assigned mortals who may be temporarily functioning on the system headquarters, together with their seraphic consorts. All ex-mortals above the status of Jerusalem citizens and below that of finalators are reckoned as belonging to the group having its headquarters in the circle.
Okay, this is very important, okay? You move from the circles of the ascending suns to this circle when you have gotten to what point? When you're ready to graduate to go to the constellations, right? Because up to this point, you were on the ascension plan. If you're tarrying, waiting for a maid or whatever, this is where they would send you, is the 7th circle of the ascending suns to wait, right? Or if you're waiting to go to the constellation, or if you would be waiting to go to Salvington, either one. Okay? So that's the ascending sons of God. Remember it said the ascending son of God on that chart? And that's what that is. Okay.
Hey Roger, does it say anything about who the seraphic consorts are?
Yeah, there are guardian angels,
Okay.
our seraphim. Yeah. Okay, Diane.
These circular reservations of the suns occupy an enormous area, and until 1900 years ago there existed a great open space at its center. This central region is now occupied by the Michael Memorial, completed some 500 years ago. 495 years ago, when this temple was dedicated, Michael was present in person, and all Jerusalem heard the touching story of the Master Son's bestowal on Urantia, the least of Satania. The Michael Memorial is now the center of all activities embraced in the modified management of the system occasioned by Michael's bestowal, including most of the more recently transplanted Salvington activities. The memorial staff consists of over 1 million personalities.
So that's a pretty big memorial then, isn't it? Okay, so you can go to this memorial and probably see the whole video or whatever type of representation they have of the entire life of Jesus while you're there.
Yeah.
Won't that be fun? Okay? So,
Um,
and this is again the Michael Memorial and the Circle of Ascending Suns. I just stuck it back in there again.
I think they insulted us again here.
Saying that word that Urantia was the least of yeah. I think they did. Okay, the circles of the angels. Like the residential area of the suns, these circles of the angels consist of 7 concentric and successively elevated circles, each overlooking the inner areas. Okay. Tim, would you take the next one?
The first circle of the angels is occupied by the higher personalities of the infinite spirit, who may be stationed on the headquarters world, solitary messengers and their associates. The second circle is dedicated to the messenger's host, technical advisors, companions, inspectors, and recorders, as they may chance to function on Jerusalem from time to time. The third circle is held by the ministering spirits of the higher orders and groupings.
Okay, these are all personnel of the infinite spirit, remember? All right, let's keep going because we're going to get to a slide and explain all this. Millie?
The 4th circle is held by the administrator seraphim, and the seraphim serving in a local system like Santania are an innumerable host of angels. The 5th circle is occupied by the planetary seraphim, while the 6th is home to the transition ministers. The 7th circle is the tarrying sphere of a certain unrevealed order of seraphim. The recorders of all these groups of angels do not sojourn with their fellows, being domiciled in the Jerusalem Temple of Records. All records are preserved in triplicate in this 3-fold hall of archives. On system headquarters, records are always preserved in material, in Morontia and in spirit form.
Okay, so our recording angels, everything that they record to us of significance is kept in these archives, right? So nothing of your life is ever lost. They can always go back to this Hall of Records or the Morontia records or the spirit form records and always put you back together, right? Figure out what's happened in your life, okay? Rodney, would you take the next one?
Yes. These 7 circles are surrounded by the exhibit panorama of Jerusalem. 5,000 standard miles in circumference. Dang.
That's a big circle.
I told you they were going to be telling you about sizes.
Right. Which is devoted to the presentation of the advancing status of the peopled worlds sustained with, and is constantly revised so as to truly represent up-to-date conditions on the individual planets. I doubt not that this vast promenade overlooking the circles of the angels will be the first sight in Jerusalem to claim your attention when you are permitted extended leisure on your earlier visits.
Okay, here it is. Okay, this is the circles of the seraphim, and this is the promenade. Now, can you imagine a representation of all 619 planets surround this thing? So you can go to any of the 619 planet exhibits and see what's going on that planet,
Oh,
including your original one, Urantia, right? That's
I
pretty.
wonder what they mean, see what's going on.
Well, you can
Exactly.
you can find out news, what's up to date. You know what's happened to the planet, whether it got blown up by a hurricane or
CNN News or
CNN news of the angels, right? Now there's another one here. Okay, and this is. This is just a picture of the promenade and the angelic circles that's underneath them, okay? And you can see here it's the unrevealed seraphim, the transition ministers, planetary helpers, administrator seraphim, ministering spirits, the messenger host of space, and the solitary messengers on each one. All right. Now we just went through just the circles so far, right? We've got more to go. Okay. So we need to take the next one.
These exhibits are in charge of the native life of Jerusalem, but they are assisted by the ascenders from the various Satania worlds who are tarrying on Jerusalem en route to Edentia. The portrayal of planetary conditions and world progress is effected by many methods, some known to you, but mostly by techniques unknown on Urantia. These exhibits occupy the outer edge of this vast wall. The remainder of the promenade is almost entirely open, being highly and magnificently embellished.
So you can walk all the way around the promenade and see every planet, right? What's going on every planet. Okay. The circles of the universe aids has the headquarters of the evening stars situated in the enormous central space. Here is located the system headquarters of Galantia, the associated head of this powerful group of super angels. We're talking about the evening stars, right? They're the second group of angel ever created. What's the first one? The morning star, right? This is the second group. The associated head of this powerful group of super angels being the first commission of all the ascendant evening stars. This is one of the most magnificent of all the administrative sectors of Jerusalem. Even though it is among the more recent constructions, the center is 50 miles in diameter. The Galantia headquarters is a monolithic cast crystal, wholly transparent. These material Morontia crystals are greatly appreciated by both Morontia and material beings. The created evening stars exert their influence all over Jerusalem, being possessed of an extra personality, such extra personality attributes. The entire world has been rendered spiritually fragrant since so many of their activities were transferred here from Salvington. So they were transferred here from Salvington on Jerusalem. Now, why would that be? Because of us, Urantia. Because Michael had his bestowal on Urantia, and we are in the system in which Urantia exists. This is one of the reasons I keep telling people, if you're looking for the end of the world, don't look for the planet to be destroyed, because this is the jewel of the universe. This is basically where Michael won his sovereignty. Do you think he's going to let him destroy
No,
us?
it will not be destroyed.
No, not likely.
Not by man, no.
Not by man. We're just stupid beings.
So it's not going to be destroyed by anything.
Right. Okay. Next, this is the circles of the universe aids, and they include the mansion world teachers, the celestial overseers, the high commissioners, the most high assistants, the archangels, the brilliant evening stars, and the bright and morning star, and Galantia headquarters. See? All right. Next. This is the circle of the universe age again, and this is Galantia's headquarters. It's 50 miles across right here in the center. Okay? I hope these pictures y'all visualize some.
Oh, yeah, they do.
They do a lot.
All right. I believe Tim's up, right?
4. The circles of the master physical controllers. The various orders of the master physical controllers are concentrically arranged around the vast temple of power, wherein presides the power chief of the system in association with the chief of the Morancha Power Supervisors. This temple of power is one of 2 sectors on Jerusalem, where ascending mortars and midway creatures are not permitted. The other one is the dematerialization sector in the area of the material suns, a series of laboratories wherein the transport seraphim transform material beings into a state quite like that of the Morancha order of existence.
Why? Because they have to be that way to be transported, right? So the material suns have to be transported more in Morancha state of existence, so they transport them, and then they're rematerialized on whatever planet they take them to, right? The other thing is the Morancha Power Supervisors in the area for all the power supervision. Why would they not let us in there, do you think?
It's too powerful.
The master physical controllers, that's right. We're dealing with powers that are so immense we don't even have a concept of. We can't fathom it, right? So they don't want any...
We might touch the wrong thing.
That's right. We don't...
Well, we would be destroyed probably.
Probably so. You know, they don't want to put us in harm's way. So that's why they keep us there. And this is all the power association that we've studied before, from the associate power directors, the mechanical controllers, the energy transformers, the energy transmitters, the primary associators, the secondary disassociators, and the frandalanks and chronodinks. And remember, a couple of those are needed for the transport of the archangels, right?
Hey, Roger, when they say the vast temple of power, they're using power as to mean sovereign? Because
No.
they can use the word
No,
differently.
they're talking about physical energy there, Tim. The vast temporal of power they're talking about is the energy circuits, okay?
Like
It's
microwave.
like microwave. Yes, the circuits that keep all the universe heated, cooled, light, in order to keep the planets where they need to be, etc., etc., etc. You know, this thing like our magnetic field around the planet Earth, you think it got there by itself? It's probably controlled by the mechanical physical controllers, right? There's a reason for everything. There really is. So the
Okay, thank you.
the tricky part is, if we could tap into that power, like the magnetism of the Earth, we would probably be able to move things with our little finger, you know, that's just humongous because of the power that's involved in these. But we don't know the secrets of that, the secrets of the universe, right? Okay. And here is another picture of that, and here is the Temple of Power in the center. Okay, this is the only thing that humans and midway creatures are not allowed near, right? These circles in this temple. All right. Doesn't bother me at all if I don't get to
No.
see. All right, Millie, I think you're up.
I think there'll be enough for us to look at without having to go there.
We got lots to keep us busy.
Number 5, the circles of ascending mortals. The central area of the circles of ascending mortals is occupied by a group of 619 planetary memorials representative of the inhabited worlds of the system, and this structure periodically undergoes extensive change. It is the privilege of the mortals from each world to agree from time to time upon certain of the alterations or additions to their planetary memorials. Many changes are even now being made in the Urantia structures. The center of these 619 temples is occupied by a working model of Edentia and its many worlds of ascendant culture. This model is 40 miles in diameter and is an actual reproduction of the Edentia system, true to the original in every detail.
And I can tell you after finishing my porch, I don't want that job. That would be a job. A true to life model, right? The other thing is here, each one of these, let me advance here, this is it. This is the circles of ascending mortals, and this is us walking around the circles of the ascending mortals. And all 619 planets have a memorial in this area. And we get to choose, go in and make suggestions what they need to do to improve it, to make it more like our real home. So I think that's kind of neat. All right. Rodney. Rodney, you're up.
Yeah. Roger,
Yeah.
I was just thinking about it. You and Diane visited Talkeetna, and
Yeah.
the summit of Mount McKinley is 60 miles from Talkeetna.
Yeah.
So you can imagine what 40 miles diameter would be.
Oh, it would be humongous. I mean, just humongous. Of course, in our Morantia type being, getting across it may not seem as long as it does here on Earth, but that's still a pretty good walk anyway you look at it,
Okay,
All right.
ascenders enjoy their Jerusalem services and take pleasure in observing the techniques of other groups. Everything done in these various circles is wide open to the full observation of all Jerusalem.
So there's no walls or anything. All this thing goes up in full view of everyone, right?
The activities of such a world are of 3 distinct varieties: work, progress, and play. Stated otherwise, they are service, study, and relaxation. The composite activities consist of social intercourse, group entertainment, and divine worship. There is great educational value in mingling with diverse groups of personalities, orders very different from one's own fellows.
So when we get to the mansion worlds, we have service, study, and relaxation, or what? Work, progress, and play. So we do just like we do here on this earth, right? We work, we progress, and we play, or we study and we play, right? It's probably a little more balanced than what we do here, though, I would be sure. The circles of the courtesy colonies, the 7 circles of the courtesy colonies, are graced by 3 enormous structures. The vast astronomic observatory of Jerusalem, the gigantic art gallery of Satania, and the immense assembly hall of the reversion directors, the theater of Morantia activities devoted to rest and recreation.
Well, I want to go there.
Me too.
Yeah.
Right now.
Notice it's the circles of the courtesy colonies. This is where what? the celestial artisans would be, right? To embellish, you know, so that we could be entertained and relaxed, right?
Hey Roger, didn't you say that Satan stole that name from Satania, from the planet?
No, he didn't steal the name from it. He may have been named after Satania. Tim.
Okay, thank you.
We're not sure, but that's what I would assume, since he was the system sovereign, right? Right. Okay. Am I up or still up? Did I just read? I'm losing my mind tonight. Y'all can tell I'm probably tired. I'm finished everything this week. Tim, would you take this one, please?
The celestial artisans direct these fornagia and provide the host of creative decorations and monumental memorials.
Memorials.
Memorial.
Memorial. Which, which abounds in every place of public assembly. The studios of these artisans are among the largest and most beautiful of all the matchless structures of this wonderful world. The other courtesy colonies maintain extensive and beautiful headquarters. Many of these buildings are constructed wholly of crystal gems. All the architectural worlds abound in crystals and the so-called precious metals.
So they use things that make it just as much beautiful as they can, right? Many things we don't even know about, I'm sure. Millie, you take the next one, Tim?
Yes. 7. The circles of the phenoliters have a unique structure at the center, and this same vacant temple is found on every system headquarters world throughout Nebadon. This edifice on Jerusalem is sealed with the insignia of Michael, and it bears the inscription, quote, undedicated to the 7th stage of spirit, to the eternal assignment, finish quote. Gabriel placed the seal on the temple of mystery, and none but Michael can or may break the seal of sovereignty affixed by the bright morning star. Someday you shall look upon this silent temple, even though you may not penetrate its mystery.
Okay, so when do we go into the 7th stage of spirit, right? We become phenoliters. When we become phenoliters, we become 6th stage spirits, correct? The 7th stage does not happen until all beings have reached the 6th stage and the full fruition of God the Supreme comes into existence. And at that moment, it's projected that all beings will become 7th stage spirits simultaneously. And that's when this seal will be broken.
Well, so, you know, it would be broken on all other headquarters as well.
Yeah, all of them at the same time. That's right.
Universe.
Hey Roger, do you remember where you can find that at 6th and 7th day spirits? Isn't that a paper 31? The core of the mortar finality?
Yeah, I believe it is, Tim, but it's also, they talk about it in the papers on God the Supreme, which is
115?
115, that's right.
And, okay, thank you.
Okay.
Other Jerusalem circles. In addition to these
Hang on.
residential...
Hang on,
Oh, yeah, okay.
Rodney, I got another slide to show you.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay, this is the undedicated to the 7th stage spirit to the eternal assignment. This is the vacant temple. And this is inside the circles of the phenoliters. Okay? Okay, now you can go.
Okay, other Jerusalem circles. In addition to these residential circles, there are on Jerusalem numerous additional designated abodes.
Okay, and why would they be things that the undesignated abodes other than these be there? Because there's a lot of beings they don't tell us about, right? And I'm sure many of those are on there too. Okay, so here's the, this is a plausible space allocation for the circles of the courtesy colonies, right? These are the people that come to help out in the local system, right? And there you'd find the ascending pilgrims, student visitors, various reserve corps, the extension school instructors, reversion directors, the celestial artisans, and then star students. we haven't studied this, but star students are those who actually study the universe, right? And inside there, there's an art gallery of Satania, and the assembly hall. There's a theater of Morancha activities too.
You know, the very first paragraph in section 5 talks about those circle groups which find mention in these narratives
Yes,
are as follows.
that's right. There's many that's not, right?
That's what leads me to believe
That's
there's
right.
more out there that they're just not going to talk about right now.
Before I get off the slide too, I wanted to point out the Astronomic Observatory of Jerusalem. This would be where the star students would look at the stars.
Hey Roger,
Yeah,
is everybody able to enter the temple?
the temple where? On this section?
Just temples on other planets. You don't have to be worthy like the Mormons. They have temples and you have to be worthy in order to enter.
No.
It's not like that, is it?
No, it's not like that. There are no, how they put it, God is no respecter of persons, right? And that's the way the universe is too. The universe is no respecter of persons. You do earn certain rights as you ascend up, but the reason they don't allow you in certain areas is because you're not spiritually ready for those areas yet. They only allow you when you're spiritually ready, but it's not like you're saying with the Mormons, though. You don't have to be a member of the Mormon church like you don't have to be a member of the Urantia Brotherhood to get in there. You know, all beings are allowed in, right?
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh. Okay, did I skip over one here? Okay, here we go. The executive squares. None wants to, I think Tim's up, or I am going to let Tim, there you go. Tim, would you take the next one?
The executive administration divisions of the system are located in the immense departmental squares, 1,000 in number. Each administrative unit is divided into 100 subdivisions of 10 subgroups each. These 1,000 squares are clustered in 10 grand divisions, thus constituting the following 10 administrative departments.
Okay.
1. Physical maintenance and material improvement, the domains of the physical power and energy. 2. Abbreviation ethics,
Arbitration.
arbitration ethics, and administrative adjudication. 3. Planetary and local affairs. 4. Constellations and universe affairs. 5. Education and other Melchizedek activities. 6. Planetary and system physical progress, the scientific domains of Satania activities. 7. Morancha affairs. 8. Pure spirit activities and ethics. 9. Ascendant ministry. 10. Grand universe philosophy. These structures are transparent, hence all system activities can be viewed even by student visitors.
So the squares are basically dedicated to everything that's part of the administration of the planet, right? I'm not going to go into great detail on that. Okay, let's go on to the rectangles. Millie, would you take the first one?
Yes. The rectangles, the Spornasium. The 1,000 rectangles of Jerusalem are occupied by the lower native life of the headquarters planet, and at their center is situated the vast circular headquarters of the Spornasium. Do you want me to go on?
No. I'll let Rodney take the next one. Rodney?
On Jerusalem, you will be amazed at the agriculture achievements of these wonderful Spornasia. There, the land is cultivated largely for aesthetic and ornamental effects. The Spornasia are the landscape gardeners of the headquarters worlds, and they are both original and artistic in their treatment of the open spaces of Jerusalem. They utilize both animals and numerous mechanical contrivances in the culture of their soil. They are intellectually
Intelligently.
expert in the employment of the power agencies of their realms, as well as in the utilization of numerous orders of their lesser brethren of the lower animal creations, many of which are provided them on these special worlds. This order of animal life is now largely directed by the ascending midway creatures from the evolutionary spheres.
Okay, so this is a whole group of beings, okay, the Spornasia, that take care of all the gardening, take care of all the physical work that needs to be done, making things beautiful, that sort of thing. And it's the midway creatures that direct them, okay? So having had so much experience on planets like ours, they want to make it both aesthetic and enjoyable for all types of beings. So of course, midway creatures have spent long periods of time on these planets, so they're the logical beings to supervise the Spornasia. And being that the Spornasia do not have souls, okay, they do not have adjusters. So they are not like mortals or anything like that. And we're going to find a little bit more about them in the next paragraph. Let's go on. I'll explain the rest of it. Sweetie?
Spornatia are not adjust or indwelt. They do not possess survival souls, but they do enjoy long lives, sometimes to the extent of 40 to 50,000 standard years. Their number is legion, and they afford physical ministry to all orders of universe personalities requiring material service.
So all beings that need any kind of physical assistance or ministry or whatever, the Spornasia takes care of this job. But they don't have souls, and they're not adjuster indwelt. Now, there's an interesting fact we're going to find out in the next paragraph. So don't get too sad about them yet. All right, Tim.
Although Spornagia neither possess nor evolve survivor souls, though they do not have personalities, nevertheless they do evolve an individuality which can experience reincarnation. When with the passing of time the physical bodies of these ununique creatures deteriorate from the usage and age, their creation in collaboration with the life carriers fabricate new bodies in which the old Spornagia reestablish their residences.
Okay, very important paragraph. Why? This is the only type of being in all the Urantia book it says that is reincarnated. Okay? So their memories and their the individuality is reincarnated into a new being all over again. So they're reincarnated over and over and over again. But they live up to 50,000 years, so that's a pretty long life, right?
So Roger,
Yeah.
and they don't possess personality, they're all identical.
They're probably all, well, not identical, Rodney, because they do have individuality. In other words, you can tell them apart. So,
I mean, by the way they look.
yeah, by the way they look. That's right. But as far as the types of beings they are, you're right. They're probably like carbon copies, really. You know, they're all about service to man. Now, there is an interesting paragraph coming up here that that puts a monkey wrench in the whole process. Okay, so let's read on another one. Millie?
Got to turn the speaker on. Spornasia are the only creatures in all the universe of Nebadon who experience this, or any other sort of reincarnation. They are only reactive to the first 5 of the adjutant mind spirits. They are not responsive to the spirits of worship and wisdom, but the 5 adjutant mind equivalates to a totality or 6th reality level. And it is this factor which persists as experiential identity.
Now, what does that sound like? It sounds like all the animal creatures of the world, doesn't it? They all have the first 5 adjutant mind spirits.
Like
So
your
hey Roger, are they animal-like?
They're animal-like, but they're supposed to be beautiful to humans. So, maybe they look more like a very advanced monkey or something along that line. I'm not sure. Okay, but what I want to get to is this. It's still coming up. Let's keep going. There's a very important point here I want to point out. So when you think of your animal life in your planet or survival and all that, we don't know what happens to these animals. We really don't. But they too have the first 5 adjunct mind spirit. Okay, so let's go on.
Okay, I am quite without comparison in undertaking to describe these useful and unusual creatures, as there are no animals on the evolutionary worlds comparable to them. They are not evolutionary beings, having been projected by the life carriers in their present form and status. They are bisexual and procreate as they are required to meet the needs of a growing population.
So they procreate as needed when we need more
What
of
does
them.
that mean when they're bisexual?
In other words, they can have sons or daughters by mating with each other regardless of either sex. You know, so they probably both have reproductive equipment like many of the animals, especially in the open ocean on this planet. Some ocean animals can be both a father and a mother, right? And that's the way these beings are. So,
Like a horse or fish? Or what do you call it?
a what?
Trying to think
A
of
seahorse.
seahorse.
Yeah, exactly right.
But you know, Roger, in other papers we read about how there's animals on there. Are the animals just, it doesn't say what type, but, so the animals are just a product of the planet, right? Or the
That's right.
architectural sphere?
They're the product of the planet. That's right. And they're ministered to by the creative mother spirit. Okay? Okay, Diane, would you take the next one?
Perhaps I can best suggest to you answer mind something of the nature of these beautiful and serviceable creatures by saying that they embrace the combined traits of a faithful horse and an affectionate dog, and manifest an intelligence exceeding that of the highest type of chimpanzee. And they are very beautiful as judged by the physical standards of the rancho. They are most appreciative of the attention shown them by the material and semi-material sojourners on these architectural worlds. They have a vision which permits them to recognize, in addition to material beings and rancho creations, the lower angelic orders, midway creatures, and some of the lower orders of spirit personalities. They do not comprehend worship of the infinite, nor do they grasp the import of the eternal, but they do, through affection for their masters, join in the outward spiritual devotions of their realms.
So they don't understand this, but they will go to like devotions with their masters along with them, right?
And hey, Roger, when they say they have a vision to recognize us,
Yes.
are they talking about they can see us?
They
or...
can see us, Tim, and they can also see midwayers and the lower spiritual beings too. So they can actually recognize or see a large, vast number of different types of beings. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Besides just the physical. Okay. Now this is the really interesting paragraph I was trying to get to here. There are those who believe that in a future universe age, these faithful Spornasia will escape from their animal level of existence and attain a worthy evolutional destiny of progressive and intellectual growth and even spiritual achievement. So even on Jerusalem, there's those that believe that eventually these beings will go on to some sort of spiritual ascension or something along that line. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah, it is. Well, they would deserve it, you know?
Yeah, there's hope for
Their
all
faith
creatures,
deserve it.
right? Okay. Next, the Jerusalem triangles. Okay, Tim, would you take this one, please?
The purely local and routine affairs of Jerusalem are directed from the 100 triangles. These units have clustered around the 10 marvelous structures domiciled the local administration of Jerusalem. The triangles are surrounded by the panoramic depiction of the system headquarters history. At present, there is an
Erasure.
erasure of over 2 standard miles in this circular story. This sector will be restored upon the red mission of Satania into the Constellation family. Every provision for this event has been made by the direct decrees of Michael. But the tribunal of the Ancients of Days has not yet finished these adjudication of the affairs of the Lucifer rebellion. Satania may not come back into the full fellowship of Nolashadek so long as it harbors arch-rebels, high created beings who have fallen from the light into darkness.
So basically they have erased over 200 miles of the circular story. Why would they do this? Because when you're adjudicated by the Ancients of Days, you cease to exist. It becomes as if you never were, right? So that 200-mile sector of history in this location, in the triangles, has to be erased because of what? Lucifer and all those that rebel, right? It has to be wiped from the planet, wiped from the minds of all the beings that's involved with it, so that it comes as if it never been. Does that make sense?
They took our story away.
They took our story away. That's right. Because they don't want any other beings going through the same torture that we have gone through, right? Going through the rebellion and the whole 9 yards. We remember it as a personal experience, but as far as the history of our local universe, it's eradicated, right? So that's what that's about, okay? And that's why they said high created beings who have fallen from light into darkness. And darkness and light cannot coexist, right? Okay, and this is the administration buildings and the 100 Jerusalem triangles they're talking about here, okay? Okay. Millie, would you take the next one?
When Satania can return to the constellation fold, then will come up the consideration, the readmission of the isolated worlds into the system family of inhabited planets, accompanied by their restoration to the spiritual communion of the realms. But even if Urantia were restored to the system circuits, you would still be embarrassed by the fact that your whole system rests under an Olashadek quarantine, partially segregating it from all other systems. Yes, I'm embarrassed.
Yes. Yeah, it is embarrassing.
So we would have that feeling of embarrassment in the Morancha Forum.
Yeah. This is another reason that when I hear these people get on the internet and say that we're no longer in rebellion and all this, I don't believe it yet. You know, I don't believe that's come to pass yet. Okay, Rodney, would you take the next one?
Okay, but ere long, the adjudication of Lucifer and his associates will restore the Satania system to the Melchizedek constellation, and subsequently, Urantia and the other isolated spheres will be restored to the Satania circuits, and again will such worlds enjoy the privileges of interplanetary communication and intersystem communion.
So we'll be part of the big happy family once again. And at that time, we'll probably have communication from aliens, won't we? Because those aliens will be the other planets, right?
Exactly.
That's right. Okay.
This last paragraph is powerful.
Yep.
There will come an end for rebels and rebellion. The supreme rulers are merciful and patient, but the law of deliberately nourished evil is universally and unerringly executed. The wages of sin is death, eternal obliteration.
Did y'all catch that? The wages of sin is death, eternal obliteration. The last time we studied this, I was preaching on this, and this is presented by Archangel Nebadon. So, if you want to continue following the ways of sin and go on with evil and that sort of thing, eventually you will be eradicated, right? You will be obliterated.
When you say sin, Roger,
we're
you're talking about
rebellion against God.
mhm.
deliberately nourished evil.
That's right, deliberately nourished evil, and it's basically a rebellion against the Father. That is the thing. You rebel against the Son first, which rebels against the Father, right? Because the Son is the representation. He is our deity representation of God the Father. He is our concept of the local God, right? So when you rebel against the Son, you rebel against the Father. That's right. Okay? That was a,
We got through it.
yeah, it was a packed paper, wasn't it?
That was wonderful.
A lot
Glad
of
to
stuff.
be here, buddy.
A lot of stuff.
Very, very exquisite.
Tim, would you like to say a prayer for us tonight?
Would it be okay if I passed tonight?
Yeah, that's fine, Tim. How about you, Melly? Would you like to pray your way? Melly,
Who? Me.
yeah.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. Heavenly Father, we thank you again for having our time together to learn and understand more of this new revelation that you've given to us. We thank you for Roger, who helps facilitate our study. We would probably be very lost without him. We appreciate him. We are grateful to you for putting him here with us. We're grateful for sending Jesus to create our universe. We are grateful for everything. We're grateful for our time together. And we thank you in the name of Jesus of Nebadon. Amen.
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 Amen. Thank you for joining us at home. I do need to mention in this video, the first video of this two-paper part was not on the Fifth Epical Revelation Fellowship site this week. It was on the Atlanta Urantia Study Group site. The reason being is we're changing servers for our website, and there was no way to get the server to accept the files in time to get it up this week. So the next change on the Fifth Epical Revelation Fellowship should be this video. But the one before this video is under Part 2 videos, so it will be online. It's just going to be under Part 2 rather on the main page. So I want everybody to know that it is out there and it is available, and you can find it on the Atlanta Urantia studygroup.org site also. So thank you for joining us. Please come see us again.